Hello students, today I am going to teach you about reproduction in plants. So before starting, let us see what is reproduction. See, reproduction is the production of new individual from their parents. Means whenever a parent give birth to the child, it is a same kind of individual like the parent, and the process by which the individual take birth, it is called reproduction. There are two types of reproduction, sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. So one by one we will see what is sexual reproduction and what is asexual reproduction. Let us talk about asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, new plants are produced without the help of seeds. So this kind of reproduction takes place without the help of seeds. And in sexual reproduction, new plants are produced from the seeds. Means this kind of reproduction takes place with the help of seeds. So in detail we will study about asexual reproduction. In plants there are different type of asexual reproduction methods. So what are those methods? How a plant produce similar kind of plant without the help of seed? So there are different methods, and these methods are vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. So one by one we will look at these methods and how these methods are producing a newer plant which is similar to what the parent plant is. And these methods are, first one, vegetative propagation. See, in this method new plants are produced from the vegetative part like the root, stem or leaf. So we are producing a new plant from a vegetative part of the parent plant. For an example, we can take root, we can take stem, or else we can take leaves to produce a newer plant of the same kind. Now let us see some of the examples of vegetative propagation. Our first example is, if the stem cutting of a rose plant or money plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So whenever you take the stem cutting, you cut the stem into the smaller part, and with the help of that stem you can get a new plant of the same kind. So rose plant and money plant are the example which uses the stem cutting of a plant to produce the new plant. Second example is, potato has small bird called eyes. If a part of the potato with an eye is cut and planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So you might have seen, students, at home a potato has some eyes, some birds generate on the potato's surface, and if you cut that bird and you plant it in the soil, then you can get a new plant of potato. Now we will see the images of these. See, this is the stem cutting of a rose plant. If you cut the stem, you can see the surface, it is cut, and we have planted the stem cutting into the soil, so we can get a new plant which is coming out of from here. Similarly, a money plant, you take a small portion of the stem and you plant it again, then you can get a new money plant from the same stem. So the third example is the potato. You can see the small birds over here. These birds, if you cut the small portion of these birds and you plant it into the soil, then you can get a new potato plant from the help of these birds. Now few more examples we will look at. If a part of a ginger is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. Means you take a small portion of the ginger and you plant it into the soil, then you can get a new ginger plant out of it. One more example is, bryophyllum has bird in the leaf. If the part of the leaf with the bird is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So bryophyllum, it is a very different kind of plant. On the leaf surface, on the boundary of the leaf, there are different birds, and with the help of those birds you can get a new plant using the bryophyllum leaf. One more example is, if a part of the cactus plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So we are using a cactus plant and from that cactus you cut small portion of the cactus plant. You know cactus grows into the desert region. So take the small portion of the cactus plant and plant it into the soil. You can get the new cactus plant. Now students, we will look at the images of these type of plants. See, this is the ginger plant which grows from the ginger. You just plant a ginger into the soil, you will get a new ginger plant. Then the second one is bryophyllum. You can see the leaf. The outer boundary of the leaf has small buds. These small buds, if you just plant it into the soil, you can get a new bryophyllum plant. Then the last one is the cactus. When you cut the small portion of the cactus, you just plant it into the soil, you will get a new cactus plant. So student, these are the examples of vegetative propagation. Now the next one is budding. In this method, a small projection called bud is formed on the yeast, a single celled organism. So the bud grows and becomes a new yeast cell. The new yeast cell also grows and produces more yeast cell. See, first of all student, we should know what is an yeast. Yeast is a kind of single celled organism. Okay. Now from the yeast, what happens? After some time, when the yeast parent grows, a small bud comes on the surface of the yeast, and those buds again grow and it detaches from the parent yeast, and again from the detached new yeast, when it grows properly, some other buds also come on the surface. You can see in this diagram, this is the yeast, a single celled organism. From the surface of the yeast, a small bud generates. Then when this bud grows, you can see another yeast cell is generated over here. The bud is grown now. Now this bud also generates few yeast on the surface. So this is the kind of asexual reproduction. It is called budding. Okay. So now students, we will talk about our next method, that is fragmentation. Students, fragmentation means to break something into some parts. It is called fragmentation. And in plants, in asexual reproduction, when the plant is broken into some parts and those parts are being planted into the soil, then it will generate a new plant. So let us look at what is fragmentation. In this method, the plant breaks up into two or more fragments and each fragment grows into a new plant. So when you break a plant into two or more parts, two or more fragments, and you then grow it into the soil, then you will get a new plant out of it. These fragments or the pieces grow into the new individual. This process continues and they cover a large area in the short period of time. So as we know, it is a kind of asexual reproduction and it takes place automatically by itself. So the plant will break down into some parts, then those parts will get inside the soil, they will generate a new plant. Again that plant, it will break down into some part, it will again generate a new plant. So this process continues and slowly those plants spread themselves into certain area. So this is the fragmentation. You can look at this diagram. See, you can see this is a plant, fragmentation in Spirogyra. So here it breaks down from here, from the septa it will break down into some fragments, and again those fragments are capable to generate same of its kind. Okay. Now next method is spore formation. You might have heard about fungus, you might have seen fungus. Whenever something decomposes, a white colored layer comes on the surface of it. It is the fungus. Now the fungus is similar to the spores. In the plant, what happens? The spore comes on the surface of the plant, and that spore will be a kind of asexual reproduction. It will make a new of its kind. You can see in this method, the fungus produces spores, means it will generate the spore, it will produce the spore. The spores germinate and produces new plant. And when those spores, they germinate, they get into the soil, and with the help of germination process, they will produce new plant. So this is the spore formation. Now we will see the diagram of it. See, You can see the spore is generating slowly. When many spores come on the surface of the plant, it is called as sporangium, and slowly this sporangiums help into the germination of new spore, and new plant can come out from the germination process. So this is the spore formation. Students, we have seen all the methods of asexual reproduction. First one was vegetative propagation, second one was budding, third one was spore formation, and the fourth one was fragmentation. So all these methods we have understood. Now we will look at sexual reproduction. What is sexual reproduction? As we have told in the beginning only, that a reproduction process which uses the seeds, they are called as sexual reproduction. Now, to define the sexual reproductions, flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant. We know that stamen is the male reproductive part and pistil is the female reproductive part. So what are this? What are stamen? What is pistil? That we will look from the diagram in the next slide. First of all, flowers which have only the stamen and only the pistil, they are called unisexual flowers. Means suppose beta that pistil is there. Suppose pistil is there. It is the male reproductive part or it is the female reproductive part. So it will be a unisexual flower. And suppose if the stamen is there, stamen is the male reproductive part. So if a single reproductive organ is there, whether it is a male reproductive organ or female reproductive organ, then those flower or those plant, they are called as unisexual flowers, okay, having a single sex organ. And suppose the flower which have both the stamen and pistil, male also and female also, then they are called as bisexual. Bi means two, having two sexual organs, so they are called as bisexual flowers. Now you can see the example of unisexual, that is maize, papaya, cucumber, and you can see the examples of bisexual flowers, that is rose, mustard, petuna, etc. Now this is the diagram of the flower, and you can see stamen are there. These are the male reproductive organs. This is the anther, this is the filament over here, filament, and the top is anther. And the second one, which is at the center, this is the female reproductive organ of the flower. It is called as pistil. This pistil has three parts. First one is stigma, from where the pollen grain can enter, from where the male reproductive part can enter into the female reproductive part. This is the style, you can see the tube over here. And the third one was ovary. This ovary contains the eggs of the female reproductive part, where the fertilization will take place, okay. So in the next point, the stamen has a filament and the anther. As we have seen in the previous slide, you can see this stamen has the filament and it has anther at the top, okay. Then the anther contains pollen grains which contain the male gametes. So the anther which is there at the top, it has some grains, some small particles. They are called the pollen grains. And these pollen grains are most important for the reproduction to be done using sexual reproduction method. Now talking about the pistil. The pistil has stigma, style, and ovary. These are the three parts, as we know. The ovary contains ovules which contain the female gamete or egg. So the ovary has ovules where all the female gametes, or you can say all the eggs of the female reproductive system are there, okay. In the sexual reproduction, the male and female gamete fuse together, they mixes together. Male gamete is what? Pollen grains which are there in the anther, and the female part, that is eggs, they fuse together, they mixes with each other, and it forms a zygote, okay. So zygote is simply what? It is the combination of male and female gametes. Male gamete is pollen grain and female gamete is egg. So it is the combination of male and female gamete. You can see structure of the anther. The anther look like this. This is the filament which is at the bottom, and anther. So all the pollen grains are there in this anther, and you can see this is the female reproductive part, that is the pistil. This pistil has stigma, style and ovary. See, stigma is the top part, style is the tube, and ovary is the bottom part. In this ovary there are ovules which contain all the female eggs. All the gametes, they are in the ovule. Now how they do the reproduction? The transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called pollination. So the method by which a pollen grain from the anther of the male reproductive part comes to the stigma of the female reproductive part is called pollination. Okay, the method by which the pollen grain from the anther comes to the stigma is called pollination. Pollen grains are transferred by winds, water or insects. So these are the carriers of pollen grain. How the pollen grain will go from the anther to the stigma, how it can travel? It can travel by means of wind, by means of water, of the rain obviously, and by means of insects, honeybee. Honeybee goes to the anther, it will take the pollen grains will stick on the sucking part of the honeybee, and it will go to the stigma. So if the pollen grains land on the stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination, and if the pollen grains of one flower land on the stigma of another flower, it is called cross-pollination. So what is self-pollination? That if the pollen grain land on the stigma of the same flower, it is called self-pollination, and if the pollen grain land on the stigma of some another flower, it is called cross pollination. So we will look at one of the view from here. See, the anther is opening. Here the pollen grain will drop to the stigma of the same flower. So this is the example of self pollination. And when the pollen grain from anther of one flower goes to the stigma of some another flower, it is called as cross pollination. You can see by this diagram, it is very much clear. Now what is fertilization? See beta, now the pollen grains has reached to the stigma. They have reached to the stigma. From the stigma the pollen grain will come down by the style and it will go to the ovary. It will reach to the ovary. Now what happens? What is the next process? The process of fusion. Fusion means mixing of the male and the female gamete to form a zygote is called fertilization. So zygote has been formed by the mixture of male and female gamete, and this process is called as fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote develop into an embryo. The ovule then develop into the seed and the ovary develop into the fruit. See, now the fertilization has been over, and after fertilization what will happen? An embryo will develop. Embryo means you can say a baby plant is started to grow inside it. As the mother carries a baby into her womb, similarly an embryo is a kind of womb where a new plant is generated. A new plant's birth take place, and in the embryo, see, the ovule develop into the seed and ovary develop into the fruit. The ovule will become seed and ovary will become a fruit. As you have seen in the fruit, when you cut the fruit, no, inside it there are many seeds. So inside portion is simply what? It is the ovule, and outside portion, that is the fruit, it is ovary. You can see the diagram. See, pollen grain which are there, they will come down from the stigma. Through the style, they will reach to the ovary. Here the pollen grain will reach, and slowly and zygote formation will take place. and this zygote will convert itself to the embryo after fertilization, and slowly a new plant will take birth and it will form a new fruit. Now the seed dispersal. See beta, fruit has been formed. The fruit has seeds. Seeds are the most important part. The fruit which is formed, it has some seeds, and those seeds, when it goes to the land by any means and to generate a new plant, this is called seed dispersal. How the plant disperses the seed which it manufacture into the embryo. They have manufactured the seed, but those seed need to be reached to the soil so that they can make the new plant. So the method by which those seed reach to the soil, it is called as seed dispersal. See, the carrying away of the seed from one place to another is called the dispersal of seed. Means the seed are being made, now the seed need to be carried to the some another place where they can plant into the soil and they can grow. Seeds are dispersed by the wind, water and animals. So as I have told you early also, that seed dispersal take place using the wind, it take place using water, and it take place using different animals. First of all, we will look at seed dispersed by wind. See, seed dispersed by wind are light, means those seed whose dispersal take place using the wind, they are very much lighter in weight, have wings or hairs so that they can easily blown away by the wind. Example, drumstick, maple, sunflower and ack. So these are the different type of seeds whose dispersal take place using the wind. Why the wind takes the seed together with them? Because these seeds have wings, or else they have hairs which can easily fly into the air. Okay, you can see the diagram over here. This is the seed with wing and this is the seed with hair. Now the seed dispersal by water. Okay, so seed dispersed by water have spongy means soft or fibrous outer cover. Fibrous means which has lot of hair, outer cover has lot of hair, so that they can float on water. Example, coconut. You can see the coconut has fibrous outer surface, so it can easily float on water and it can reach to some different destinations where the coconut plant will grow. Okay, so the seashore, they has many coconut plants, because the coconut will float into the water, it will reach to some different place and there it will grow into a new plant. Then the next one is the seed dispersed by animals. See beta, there are many animals, as you have seen in the previous diagram also. Butterfly was taking the pollen grains. Similarly, there are many animals who eat the fruit of the plant, and as they eat the fruit of plant, they digest the fruit, and when they digest the fruit, the seed which is there, it will come as in the form of excreta. They will excrete it out, they will remove the waste from their body, and where the waste will drop, there the seed germinate itself and new plant can grow. So this is the method by which animal disperses the seed. So students, I think you all have understood very nicely about reproduction in plant, what is asexual reproduction, what is sexual reproduction, different ways of seed dispersal, and I hope so that you will read this chapter from your textbook as well, clear all the topics, and thank you.